land of enchantment. Come, little children, the time's come to play here in my garden of shadows. Follow, sweet children, I'll show thee the way through all the pain and the sorrows. Weep not, poor children, for life is this way, murdering beauty and passions. Hush now, dear children, it must be this way, to weary of life and deceptions. Rest now, my children, for soon we'll away into the calm and the quiet. Come, little children, I'll take thee away into a land of enchantment. Come, little children, the time's come to play here in my garden of shadows.
Okay, this show here is going to be on how to make this piece and how to flatten these out, how to make all these little pieces here. It's a 3-part show, so make sure you watch all 3 parts of it to get it to where it shows you how to make everything. And I hope you enjoy it. Catch you later. Hi, this is my first ever how to do video. You have to excuse me if I seem kind of botchy. I've never set a camera up above my hands before. It's kind of cool. It looks like I got a jiggly camera, but it's not. It's what it is. I have a camera that when you walk with it, it automatically takes the jiggle out of when you're walking out, so you look like you're walking smooth as glass. But the camera's fixed to the wall. So I move like this, and the internal parts of the camera is actually trying to follow my hand to do that anti-jiggle thing, and it looks like it's moving. So if it looks like the camera's jiggly and all, have to forgive me. I'll have to figure a way around this somehow. But right now it's fixed to the wall, and nobody's actually touching it, but it does look like it's moving when it tries to fix the hands. What I do is I take radiator parts and pieces and things of secondhand metal, and I got copper here that is actually from a refrigeration unit. And I've already flattened this piece, but I did it before I thought, oh, hard to put these videos everybody's asking me to make. So I stopped, and I thought, well, I can do these other 2 pieces here and show you how this ended up like this, ended up this way. You just take a simple piece of metal, you hacksaw it off to whatever bends or shape you want that's going to fit your bracelets or earrings or whatever you're making. You simply take a piece like this of iron and a nice size maul. I like this type. So you can get away with using small little tap hammers, but I usually use these for really delicate work. This is a little 1.25 pounds, but it's easy. Just smack it down. But this ain't usually a table I do this with. But I can't put the camera outside where I do my regular work. But it'll start bending the metal all weird ways, so you have to remember to flip it around. But anyway, you get the gist of it. In there is a flattened piece of metal. That's how I take this and end up with this piece. Anyway, this is going to get tossed over here, and that's going in the scrap bucket. Anyway, seeing that we already got a flattened piece of metal, we'll move on from here. Now, to give it a really pretty texture, because I don't want to work with just this and make jewelry out of that, that's like, kind of bland. I want to make this a little prettier. So that's where you take a hammer like this, or you can get other hammers that do texture. Like, I'll get one and show you real quick. Alrighty, we're already back on. They have ones with the textures already built onto them. Then they have other ones like this that this actually unscrews, and you can put what other ones you want onto it. Flip the collar back over it and put it together and continue beating your thumb or whatever else you want to put a texture to. But you can get these at various places, but I'd rather say to go get them off of the internet. I don't want to name any names, art stores, because to tell you the truth, most of your art stores, they're like way overpriced. And that's why they always give these 40% discounts and things like this, making you think, oh, you're getting something. And you're not. You're actually getting it still marked up higher than what you'd pay on the internet, even with the 40% knocked off. So I'd always suggest to go to the internet and get your parts that way. Now going back to what I was going to do with the texture, you just take the round hammer, remember to hit along the edges too. If you stay away, it looks funny when you got all your pattern in the middle and nothing on the edge. If it knocks a little on the edge, it's fine. I'll show you how to take care of that. Now, also, when you're hitting this, make sure that your patterns are sporadic. Don't go like a pattern, because then it looks too patternist. It looks like it came out of a machine or a mold. Beat it all over the place, but just eventually just cover it all. But how you get rid of these little edges that get bopped out, you just simply turn it sideways, lightly tap it back down. You have to pull the edges of your table sometimes to do it. Now when you beat on this, it'll also curve the metal. So as you keep beating on it, remember to every now and then, as you're hitting on this side, to flip it over, tap it flat with the other thing, the other side, the flat side of your hammer, flip it back, and then turn your pattern part back over it and continue. I went ahead and finished this up because nobody wants to sit here and watch me beat all that pattern in, and I'll be right back. Now here's the classic part where I was showing you where I beat on it and it starts to take shape. You notice it's starting to rock around a little bit because it's changing. It's curling the metal. Because this is round, obviously. And as you beat on it, it actually pressures the metal outward. Every time you hit it, it squashes it out a little. So as you keep beating on it, it slowly rounds it. So that's where you have to flip it over. And with the flat side of the hammer, you don't have to beat the stew out of it. Just tap it a little bit. You can see it beats it flat again. And then continue beating the rest of the pattern in. But every time it starts to curve out, flip it over, pop it flat, just tool it out. And there you go. And continue. Now, I've already beaten the pattern all onto it. Didn't bore you with that because nobody wants to see me out there beating the pattern on, putting it all smooth. And then the neighbor comes over and starts talking to me about how his miniature horse got out in the street and he had to chase it down, blah, 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 blah. Nobody wants to hear all that. So, the magic of movie cameras, you went from where I was at to this. Anyway, you can flip it over. And for those who want to put their signature on things, There's these little dies you can get that have numerals, different styles of lettering and different things, different fonts. And I have these here. And they're so small, there's an R and a D. You have to make sure you get them lined up properly. There's a way to do these. You make sure your letters proper before you turn it around, because you got to remember you're turning it around. Some people say, oh, that's the way it is, slap it down and realize they just put their R backwards. Or not backwards, but upside down. But anyway, you make sure it's sitting right like you want it. And now I'm going to punch some holes in here later and put wires. So I know I'm going to be doing something here. So up high, I'll put my initials and give it 2 firm hits. That'll embed the initial into the piece. And the reason why I'm doing this now is because in a minute I'm going to show you how this is going to be a dingy piece of copper. You don't have to hit it like you're trying to drive a nail in, just 2 good firm hits, because it's enough to dent it in properly. If you hit it like you're hitting a nail, you'll overdo it and it just punches the metal and it'll actually push the engraving on the side. But you can see here 2 firm hits, definitely puts it in deep enough the way you can see the the letters, and it suffices what I need to do. Then always put your pieces back evenly where you remember where they're at, because if you just throw them anywhere, these are tiny, they're hard to see. I have to always put my glasses on when I do these things so I get them right. It's not that I need to wear glasses, I don't need them at all, it's just that I've reached the age where curiosity outdoes my vanity nowadays. Now here's the fun part about this. It's a dingy piece of metal. And think, okay, and the reason why I put all the pattern on it first, and then I put my initials in it and everything that I want to do before cleaning it, is because that keeps the patina on it to a certain amount. Now here, you can see here, just a simple brush back and forth polishes that right up and puts a beautiful pattern to it. And then yet in all the dents, you got your patina, and that's the way that goes. And it turns out to be a beautiful piece. Anyway, I'm going to go and clean the rest of this up the rest of the way, and then I'll be sitting here with a nice piece of shiny metal, and we'll continue making this piece of jewelry. But for those of you that say, well, I only know where to get metal from, I don't have anybody around me that scraps metal where I can get metal from, where can I get fatinaed copper? You can get it simply by ordering what they call liver of sulfur. You can order that off the line too. It's called liver of sulfur. You can dip it in there just for a few minutes in warm water with a spoonful of liver of sulfur dumped in it. But do it outside, because it smells like rotten eggs from places you don't want to go. But anyway, liver of sulfur will put the patina on it, and then you just do the same thing. Puff it off like I'm doing here. In fact, if you leave it in there long enough, it'll actually turn the copper black. So you can also age it different ways too. It works good with wire and all. And other shows I'm going to be doing in the future, I will be working with liver sulfur because I ordered it, but it hasn't came in yet. So anyway, I'll be back in just a second. Okay, back again. Here's what the magic of steel wool does to it. That is a sparkly little piece of metal right there. And since I did the names before, you can now see my initials plainly dented in with the patina in it, and then shine the metal above it. But I don't over buff it. I like to keep the age look kind of in there, but it does make it shiny. But what you do with this is, after you're done with all this metal work, you do turn around and spray it with a clear coat. You can go get clear coat at any Home Depot or Lowe's or anywhere. Just ask for a spray can of clear coat, and once you get your stuff done, you spray it down with that lightly, and it'll stop it from turning. So that way you don't go, well, this is going to turn back. No, it won't, if you do that. And you can wear it on your skin, and your skin won't turn green because it's not actually against your skin. The clear coat, it's a shield between you and the metal. Anyway, you now you've got it all polished and everything else, but you still got these sharp edges on the edge here that you have from when you used the hacksaw on it, or pipe cutter, or whatever it is that you did. But when you hammer it out, it flattens and makes it. You get a very nice file. Don't waste your money and get some Chinese thing. Go get a decent file, because you'll find out a decent file will last you forever. And when you're done with it, you always take a brass brush and you clean the teeth out of the file just by going across the way the file teeth go. And you find that file will last you most of your life. But anyway, I'll show you real quick how you can just take it and file this off right here. Well, if you notice the magic of camera, the sides are already filed. Because like I said, I just started a file, I cut it off. Ain't nobody will see it. Plus I want all the shavings here. I go outside. I do all the filing, hammering and stuff mainly outside where it's got a good solid work table. Anyway, I rounded the edges. And then when you file, make sure you use it this way. Don't do like some people do, back and forth. They don't. A file doesn't really cut going this way. It cuts one way, forward. You ever notice one way to grip, one way done. And then once you're done, also just once or twice go this way, cross that way. It knocks the edges off of here, and then you know you got it rounded, because you don't want to be wearing this piece of jewelry and have sharp, jagged edges here catching your clothing, snagging you, and everything else. You want it nice and rounded and smooth. So in just a second we'll show you what else we'll do. But also after you're done filing and everything else, take a cloth and wipe it down, because you'll find out when you take a steel wool to it and you clean all this off, even though you think, well, I took steel wool to it, I cleaned it, it actually has little pieces of dust in it and everything else. When you spray the clear coat on here, that dust will actually collect up and settle down with the clear coat and leave a green edge on it, because there's little tiny particles in there you don't see. Plus it comes off in your fingers. I don't know if you noticed, my fingers are already starting to turn because I've been handling dirty copper. So anyway, I've did all that, filed it and everything, so now I'm cleaning it, just wiping it off with a regular clean rag. This rag looks dirty because of other things. I do wood carving too, and that's actually blue wood stain. It's a clean cloth, but it's stained blue. Anyway, I'll be back in just a minute, because I gotta figure out a game plan of where I'm going to put things and where I'm going to put the gears and all this, and then I'll come back, because nobody wants to sit there and see me figure this all out. Well, here's a little thing here. These are the different types of gears you can get. All different kind of cogs and things. They have the larger ones that you can use for bracelets, or even the centers of these. And they're different colors: steel, brass, copper. And these are what I like here. They have copper and all. You can put copper pieces on, steel. You can use the gear parts, and then you got ones that look more that are actual watch gears, and then you got smaller ones here which are actual watch gears of different types. And if you say, well, where do you get the gears? Well, you can get them from ex-boyfriend's watches before you return them. Husbands when you're pissed. No, I'm kidding. You can get these from various art stores. I prefer you wouldn't, and nothing against the art stores, but if you go to an art store, you're not even going to get a kiss on the neck, if you know what I'm talking about. They'll charge you for, I think it's only 6 of these little gears right here, about $14. And it's ridiculous when you can get 100 of these for $8 off the internet. So go to the internet and look at the sizes and what you want, what kind of gears, colors and what have you, it's available, and you can get it from there. Now the wire that I'm going to be using on here is actually electric wire that I have stripped, and I'll be putting it onto this metal. So just about all the metal that I use on this is refurbished, or not refurbished, but scrapped metal from old electric jobs, things like this. This is actually from, refrigeration units. It was being scrapped for metal. A friend of mine's a scrapper. I buy this stuff from him. But you can go down to Home Depot and get the copper and electric wire and stuff in there if you don't want to do the scrap stuff. You can buy it that way, by massive amounts. And then the finer wires and all, then you got to go to art stores on the internet to get those. But today we're going to work with these gears here, and maybe a couple of these, because they got some steel on them. But I'll figure that out, and I'll be right back in a few minutes. Okay. Now we have it to where we're going to do some things here with this. Right now I got it to where these little gears are set up like this. The reason why you put them in different places, you try to place it where you think, okay, I could tie this in with a wire because I don't braze these. I actually tie these in by wire. So there's no actual brazing done on any of my pieces yet. Excuse me, that's a text message. Phones. Anyway, I'll bring a wire more than likely through the whole middle of this. So this can turn a little bit. This one I'll bring a wire through here and here. So it'll make a little piece here. Here I'm going to bring a wire on this side, and this being over it will hold it down, and right here in between it I'll put another wire that'll hold the cog of one of the teeth here of this piece and hold this down on it. So by this being tied and the wire coming through here, it'll tie the other side of it. I'll bring a wire through here, over here, there, and I'll have them hanging out and tie them all in. But always the best thing to do is to always do this, because I know you people are sharp as tacks. I'm as sharp as a bowling ball. This, what it is as I get older, I get what I call sometimers. Sometimes I remember, sometimes I don't. It's always good to do a draft of your jewelry piece. Just a sloppy one. You don't have to be no fancy artist. I am an artist by trade anyway, but regardless of that, you won't know it by this because I'm not going to make it all that pretty. And you draw which cog goes where. You draw that there's a cog going right here, so there's that one. And this is just a star, so it goes down like that. So that way I know that specific piece goes there. This is the smaller one, and it goes up against it, so I'll just draw it like that and put the pinpoint close to the edge. So that way I know the center's there, even though it's not centered. And I know this is the one with the screw, so I'm going to put a screw symbol on it. The larger one is going to be along this edge here, and he's the brass one. And then the great big pretty piece, the middle, I like this one because it has ball bearings on it and all this. Has a lot happening to it, so I'm just putting that right here in the middle. But I'm doing this kind of sloppy right now. Like I say, I'm not doing this for an art show. I'm just doing this to show you people how to not lose where your pieces are. And this goes here. Now, I gotta remember, I'm gonna put a hole here and a hole over here. This one's gonna get a hole and a hole. Actually, it's better if I do X's. That way I know they're holes and don't get mixed up with things like that. And this will hold all these down. This one's gonna get a hole dead center. This one's gonna get a hole there and one over here. It's a lot of hole busting here. This one gear here has two little holes in it, so I know it's this little guy. And he's going to get a hole there and here. Then we got this. You have to excuse my heavy breathing. I took some medicine that actually makes you breathe like you just got to jog it. I don't know why, but it does. And this is the little, I call it Mercedes symbol. Very sloppy. Okay, but like I said, I'm not showing that I'm an artist by this, but I am an artist by trade. Actually, I have things that's been in Comic-Con and what have you. But anyway, I was doing this style of artwork back in the late 70s when people said, what kind of style do you call that? I said, well, I don't know. I said it'd be like a Jules Verne's time machine type style. I said because Victorian age. I said it's all back when they used to do the industrial steam engines and steam, when the industrial age started using steam engines. And I said, so that's why a lot of it's brass and all, because I didn't make this type of artwork then. Then I used to make hot air balloons and blimps out of canvas and shellac it over wire frames. Then I'd put a basket on the bottom with a guy in it with a Victorian hat on and the goggles and everything, just like they're using now, but he'd have the goggles that's used to see the old captain's telescopes, or the goggles that you use, like a pair of goggles that you use in a baseball, football game or whatever, but he'd have that, and then he'd have the claw hammer suit on and a Victorian chair, but it'd have a steam engine on the back of it with the boiler and everything on it with two jet-powered engines on the sides of the basket. And that's the kind of steampunk stuff they used to make back then. The watch gears and all started making, but see, steampunk didn't really get a name until like 2000 or 2001 when they first started putting a jamboree together, and it became steampunk, because that's what they called the jamboree, or the get-together, and they called it steampunk, and the name stuck, which I love it. Steampunk is like the perfect name. So, but I got dates and stuff on my stuff to show that I was doing this stuff long before they had a name for it. So I've always been like that into creating things, building things. I do sculptures, carvings, wire art. I do stained glass. Do a lot of artwork. I love creating things with my hands. I was a contractor for years and built homes, bridges, seawalls, docks, decks. And even had my uncle, when I was real little, in a millwright shop, and I owned a millwright shop myself one time. I can build cabinets, toys, anything you want out of wood. And I don't know, I've always used my hands. If you took away my hands, I'd starve to death. I've always liked creating and building things, and I love teaching. And now with the magic of internet, I can actually spread this with me. So when I die, I don't take this knowledge with me. I actually spread it out. My phone's talking to me again. I'm sorry about that. But anyway, in a few minutes, I'm going to show you how I do all this. But right now, I can show you what I can do with this. It says, I know this is where my pieces are going. I have an ink pen. You can use a Sharpie on this too. In fact, you know what? I'm going to pull out a Sharpie and use it so this way you learn by being shown instead of example. Or by example. Anyway, I'll be right back. I'm back with a Sharpie. Ta-da! This part of the show is brought to you by Sharpie. Some of the world's best pens, I tell you that. Anyway, where you're going to bring your hole, or you want your hole drilled, put a little mark. Now it is metal, so try not to rub your fingers on it because you can smear your marks off. Now I know I'm going to bring a hole here, and I'm bringing a hole over here. And you can lay them over here on your paper pattern if you want to. Now this one, I'm going to bring a hole here and a hole here. But you also got to think of this too. When you think, okay, I'm putting these holes, you're not just stitching wire through here. You got to think where the wire's going to come up and where it's going to go back down. This is actually going to have two wires coming up and do its patterns. This is going to have a wire coming up and do its pattern with its thing. This is actually going to have two wire. It's going to be one wire, but it's going to look like two. It's going to be bent like a U nail, and from behind, one side's coming up here, one side's coming up here, and I'll make the curls. And then in here, it's going to be the other hole. And over here is going to be the other hole for that one. I got to make sure I got these still in the right place so I'm bumping them all over the place. Okay. And you go there, and you go there. Anyway, this little guy, you got to be pretty accurate because there's no room for error on this. Now these can be here and there. I'll probably put one wire through here, one side coming up here, one side coming up here. And then, after you do all this, you got to have where your chain's going to go on it. I like to have the chain somewhere near the top, not dead center of the thing, but towards the top of the thing. You know, not in the middle here, but up here is where I like to have my chain hanging. I don't know, it just kind of offsets it. I don't like anything being too symmetry. If I said that wrong, please write and tell me how to say it properly. Because cemetery is also where you bury people, but there's a word where, anyway, I think those of you know what I'm talking about, but I'm not a English major by far. Let's see, then I got a tool here that's for punching metal. I will not mention the name of any specific tool because I don't want anybody thinking anything, so I'm not trying to sell any one brand. I never mentioned a name. Actually, there's better ones, but these are good. The prices are right, and you can get them off the internet once again. You can, if you like to have it so where it sits put so you can work with things, you can set it over and tighten that screw down. Me, I like it loose so I can operate with it. There's a large, well, this is the small one, but there's a large and a small side. Now this, I'm actually going to be working with the smaller, so the big guys just sit here. You could take this and you put it through. Now, I'll use the big one a little later, but right now I'm using the small one. And put it on dead right where the little marks are. And you twist it. It puts a dead center mark every time. You feel it when it gives way. It just all of a sudden goes boom. And then you come back. And piece will pop loose of that. And it puts a nice neat hole right through it. It's nice and pretty, no burrs sticking out or nothing. And it's always good to have these little cup things around here. These, because, let me shake that out. Because there's metal that comes out these. And you wind this off here. And the little piece of metal falls out in it. I don't know if you can see it. Right there. Looks like, oh, I'm panning for gold. And I found this for after 8 months of my life gone. I'm rich. Nah, but I'm sorry. I'm just playing around. I got to put something in here to keep you entertained while I'm doing this stuff. Anyway, I want to pop the rest of these holes in here, and then I'll be right back because nobody wants to sit here and watch this, and I don't know how to fast forward stuff yet. So I'll be right back in a few minutes. Well, I hope you enjoyed the show. If you like it, mark a thumbs up down there or subscribe. I'll be making more of these shows. The more I get out of these shows, people sending me stuff, and all the more shows I'll make. But I'll be showing you how to make all kinds of different jewelry, how to round pieces out like this. So you actually take them and make them rounded. And it's kind of interesting. But I'll show you how to do all different kind of things on future shows. You have a good time, and I hope you watch the whole show through, and I hope I stayed it entertaining. But give me feedback on it. If you like it or don't like it, either way, give me feedback, because I need to know things. Otherwise, I don't know what I'm doing. If I'm making mistakes, I'll keep making them if people don't correct me on them. So you have a good day.